'Cause I just don't know where football in general is going to go now. Where's it going to go now? Tell me.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting, actually, isn't it? Because then I think because like when Guardiola first arrived in the Premier League, the way he was playing is positional play, and he's the new, I don't know what the word is, the new king of it after taking it on after Cruyff. But he's not. I don't think he's as wedded to just keeping the ball short, short, short because that's necessarily exactly what he does. It's the best way to win, and you were talking about before. The best way to defend is to keep the ball. But the way that his team pressed and the way they played out of possession is exactly the same as how important Johan Cruyff used to base on it. And so, as other teams have copied the way that Man City play in possession, that's now you see that at grassroots now. Kids play like that. They're taught to be where and when, how to play it short. But now the out of possession stuff is what you start seeing everywhere. And I think Jurgen Klopp was really the guy that took that along. And you even see it in like Guardiola's assistant manager this year, Pep Linders. So he's got him in, I think, specifically because it'll help him with his out of possession stuff. Now, oddly, I'll come into a different point of this, but oddly, like Man City's out of possession has not been very good this season, and I think that's one of the reasons that he went to being quite deep against Arsenal, who are one of the better teams in the world. So it makes sense to be deep and make sure you don't concede. But like a lot of teams are really good at marking or pressing for a start. Like hybrid pressing is one thing you see a lot of teams doing, where they start set up in the zonal phase and then they jump to different players. So you're man-to-man marking across the pitch, and you can be really risky with it. You can be a little bit risky with it. And what ends up happening is that you can't play out from the back because the risk of playing out from the back used to be worth the reward because you play through them, you're in control when you get to the final third. But now everyone is so good, and I'm talking like teams in the Championship, League One, wherever. They can all do this because it's a thing you can learn. And now,
it's just briefly. Are we in favour of cutting down the number of substitutions back to 3? 5 was an emergency thing for COVID because. Yeah. Could we make an argument for 5? Just makes it easier to press and press and press because you can freshen up.
I don't know about that because the problem is that like with the pressing thing means that now teams like even Man City, the reward is not worth the risk. So you might as well go long, and also because they're pushed up, you can go long. So what you see now is teams are just giants. Like Arsenal bought a bunch of big lads, so they're now massive.
So City the same. This worries me. This really, but the moment that most made my heart sing in football was that Spain Guardiola thing in 2008, 2009. Because when I live in Brazil, where there was an absolute consensus that was absolutely impossible. You couldn't do it. Couldn't be done. Physical evolution of the game. Can't do it. There's no space. You got to win the physical duels in the middle and you break down the flanks. And so possession football, that's over. It's gone. 1970, stuff that belongs to the past. What we want to do is match the opposition physically in the centre of midfield, and then win the ball and break down the flanks with our attacking fullbacks, and that's how we win the game. And it just became attrition.
Yeah.
And then along came this Ken Dodd and his Diddy men from Catalonia. Diddly bit. And it was everything I ever grew up loving. It was like Valderrama and so on. It was just fantastic. Are we now going back to land of the giants and attrition?
I think in the Premier League, yes, but across a lot of Europe, especially, which is what I'd normally focus on, Premier League in Europe, I mean, I don't think teams like PSG will do that. And I think PSG can play a team off the park, much like Guardiola's Barcelona did. And so I think that still works, and you still have like we'll call it the good and the evil, right? So you'll have PSG can pass you off the pitch, but you still got like Arsenal are still like slinging the ball in the box, and they're scoring headers and corners, like whatever, and that's what happens. But you see it now, like in the Premier League, like with Chelsea. So that's a positional team, and I've done a lot of research on them just this week because work we're doing a show on them, and they he has control, Maresca, of the game. They don't really create anything. And when they try and build up, everyone's man-to-man against them, and they're really good, so they can't really build. And so eventually you end up just like stuck. You're just stuck with the ball, and you can't do anything with it. But like when you have the big lads who can mash it in from a long throw or a corner, which I don't really want to watch, it is quite refreshing because it's kind of funny now, going back to it. Like I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so I've seen that football. I've seen what that's like. Also, I support a team in Scotland, so I know what that's like. But what you might even get is return to players like Riquelme and stuff like that. So you might start getting like nice 2-man strike partnerships that are different to what we've been used to. Not just little and large, but you might get like a massive Voltamada lad, but then you'd get like the Raquelme, who just the ball or the pitch moves around him rather than him having to move. And so that might be a thing we get next. I'm already thinking what the next thing is, because the natural antidote to playing two strikers is you go to a back three. See, then you get Catenaccio in like the Italian way and just kind of bolt it down. And then that leads into, this is rubbish. Let's start passing the ball about, tip, tip, tap, tap, tap. But everyone's just really good at pressing now, so maybe they'll be less athletic in time. It's really interesting because it's all going cyclical.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. In fact, I'm most fascinated about tactical revolutions in football. One of the things that fascinates me, it does seem like season after season, teams seem to have had a confab as to how they're going to set out for the season, and the other opponents either agree that they'll match you in that, or they start figuring out a way to undo you. But
and then they start appointing set-piece coaches and winning a game from corners. Is there anything more depressing than set-piece coaches and winning the game from corners?
Nowadays, I think you'll find the set-piece coach is more concentrating on the throw-in. You haven't got a problem with throw-ins and corners, have you, JJ?
I've got a problem with putting it in the mixer, and JJ obviously has as well.
Well, he was brought up in the 80s and 90s, so he probably hasn't. Sorry, go on.
Do you know what? Like, so I always grew up. So I watched awful football, Aberdeen, always. And so, like, I always think you should play through the thirds, nice tippy-tappy passing. I want to have a number 6, like Busquets or Pirlo. I love it, and I want to play like that. But I am so bored of watching teams just mash into each other at the halfway line, pass, mash, pass. Then they get to the box and they pass it around. Just get it in the box. Like, you see, like the old Man United teams, they weren't that much fun either. People talk about this magic Man United team. They weren't that good. They used to steal it at the end every time, but they would push players forward, they'd get it in the box, and you get the ball in the box and stuff happens. And the thing with like a lot with data and analysis and how managers want total control, because then it's it's their vehicle. I don't think it's an ego thing, but like if you're in charge of a team and you want to win, you want control, you want to minimize risk and dice rolls. And so if you do that, what naturally happens is games slow down because everyone's doing the same thing. And that's actually like by playing the Guardiola way now, ironically, that is where long throws and set pieces come in. Because if you win control and you push them back, how's the best way to score? Set piece, because that's what you get out of doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't mind getting the ball in the box now, and I would quite like. I don't mind the idea that teams just zip it forward, go more direct, and we are seeing teams be more direct. You see in Arsenal, especially Man City. I think this season been a bit more direct.
Weird. It is weird seeing Arsenal go direct. I just don't understand it.
Well, they've got the players for it. And that's the thing as well. It's like so the players often decide what the tactics are. You'll have heard like people moaning for years. There's no number 9s anywhere. There's absolutely loads. But just like you can't make use of them if they're not getting the ball into the box. And no one's crossing it high to a header. No one's trying to risk that pass. And I do
have a campaign against inverted wingers. I do like the winger who goes outside and gets the cross in. I do like that from time to time.
I like a bit of both. I mean that's what Messi did, right? And became a false 9 because that's the best place to put him in the middle of the pitch. And then some of the best players in the world ever have played out wide. I mean, like Lamine Yamal is an inverted winger. That's exactly what he is. So you can do that, but you can do it. You can do it with Messi going inside. Sorry, I was talking over you there. So on you go.
No. Talk over
me. Celebrate. This is obviously flippant. Should we celebrate global warming? Because the possibility of playing more games in extreme heat, and that leaves more space on the field, and less of this crazy running around and charging forward.
Absolutely. Although I was going to say something funny there, but it could be easily clipped out, and it will. I won't say let's drill more oil, because you can just clip that out. So don't clip me out saying drill more oil.
Look, this season is looking more and more like the season of the centre forward. Talking of which,
yes.
And you saw Alexander Isak for Liverpool yesterday scored his first goal. And obviously Victor Gyökeres, Voltemade we've already mentioned. I feel like Voltemade's got the makings of the best of them. He's not there yet. He's not there. He's a long way away. He's only 23 years old, but he just is a handful. He reminds me of... who was it? Andy Carroll a little bit. When Andy Carroll was really on form, when he was playing for Newcastle before he went to Liverpool, what a mistake that was, and then ending up with West Ham, and it just got worse and worse and worse. But there was a time when Andy Carroll was just like a bully if you get the ball into the penalty box for Voltemade, it's going to be hard if he gets it right. At the moment, his attempts have been nullified by defenders who have literally pushed him over, and he's like Oh, what was that? Why have you pushed me? The one that has gone, it seems, flying and like flying headers wise, although they haven't connected yet, is Victor Gyökeres, and I have a little affinity for him because he's Swedish, and that's my alma mater right there. How much has this changed? The concentration on the centre forwards. Obviously, we know Man City was there first with, or was there, had a couple of seasons of concentrating on the centre forward in the way they've done. But how much has it changed, in particular, Arsenal's tactics? I think having a centre forward, but arguably having that centre forward, as in Alexander Isak, is changing Liverpool a little bit. Even though I would say that Ekitike is probably their best signing of the summer, in my view. But how much of these teams, these clubs, change their tactics to accommodate their new sort of love and concentration for the old-fashioned centre forward?
Well, that's an interesting question because I don't know. Like, do you change your tactics? What does that count as? If a different player does different things, is that changing your tactics? I don't know if it is. It's just like your principles remain the same, but you've got the option of playing it longer earlier. So is that changing tactics, or is that just right when you get the ball, hit that with the top? That's more like a coaching point, I would say. So, it could be a tactical thing, and then Gyökeres makes them be able to run in behind. Even though he doesn't look quite as fast as you thought he was, does he?
No. I knew that. I told people that before. I told them. Nobody would listen to me. All he's got to do is stay in the centre box and say what everybody said. But hey, he has obviously been able to make way for Martinelli. Martinelli almost has become their centre forward in a funny way. But you can see what the Arsenal tactic is, which is get the ball out to the wingers. Now we've got two sort of celebrated wingers. Get the ball out. On the one hand, you've got tried and trusted Bukayo Saka, but also you've got Eze on the other wing, including Martinelli when he chooses to be on the wing rather than moving central and everything. And if they can get the ball down to the byline and cross it in, that's ideal. That would be ideal for Gyökeres. And Arsenal aren't walking the ball into the box as they used to so much.
Well, the thing with Gyökeres is I don't even think he wants like crosses from wide. He kind of wants to receive it in this. It's very specific, but like he wants to receive it in like the left half space and then run with it towards people and sort of make something happen. Most of his goals were tap-ins against like cannon fodder in Portugal last season, penalties, and then occasional running behind goal. I think he's a good player. He's nowhere near that list he got on the Ballon d'Or, by the way. But this is the thing, that he's a decent player that'll do well with that. But you don't want to get crossed in the box like that. Like Arsenal are set up to try and minimise risk completely. And I think Martinelli's a good point there because I've always thought he was a centre forward. I've always thought that's what he looks like and that's where he should be playing. He's maybe not got the physicality for it. Maybe now next to someone he could. I think even the same with it's interesting with Arsenal because like Madueke's done so well on the wing. You kind of want to keep him because he makes things happen. But Saka scores all the goals. I've always thought like Nwaneri and Saka would actually end up playing through the middle, possibly not like false nine. Saka would be a good forward eventually, maybe like what Ronaldo did. You go from being a winger and you end up inside later on. Maybe that's what happens with him eventually. I don't know. But I think in terms of like teams changing their tactics, I think Liverpool, they wanted to play the way he's playing now with the front four and Ekitike running in behind. And like Arne Slot likes his team. It's almost like, not like when I say rugby, I don't mean kick it long and chase it, but like they kind of like momentum. So they want to get the ball and move it, so they end up with momentum in the final third, so the team can't deal with him. That's what I see with them. And then teams like Man City, like Guardiola changes tactics to make use of Haaland. That's a clever thing to do, but you want to make use of someone like Erling Haaland if he becomes available, even if he doesn't fit your tactical wants or ideals. You sign Erling Haaland because it makes your team better. There's not that many best players in the world that float about. So when you can get one, you do it and you make best use of him. And I think a lot of managers are doing that now. They realize they want to score goals. Having control it's all good in that. But either you get someone who puts the ball in the net and you find ways to get the ball to him, which largely used to be in the wings, but I think increasingly is more like half space or through balls over the top because everyone's so high now. So if you can get players like Ekitike, Haaland, Isak, you have a lot more fun. And that is definitely feeding into things that we were talking about earlier as well. I think you're right, yeah.
So we're on our way back to physicality and 4-4-2.
I mean, Guardiola's been playing 4-4-2, well, out of possession, obviously, but for a long time. But this is the thing, like he adapts to wherever he's gone, and it's not as if that wasn't a very popular formation for a long time for a reason. Like it does work. Saki's AC Milan, right? What was that? 4-4-2. Sure, and what were they famous for? They were famous for like zonal marking, high pressing, 4-4-2. It like 100% works. It doesn't have to be. It's the
No,
principles that make it different. Like Taylor's England and Watford were totally different 4-4-2 to what Saki's East Milan were.
As Ancelotti says, it's the shape of the pitch. You know,
Yeah.
it will never be outdated, will it? 4-4-2. I do worry about the increasing physicality. I think we're going to see more head injuries, more concussion.
Well, I mean, I hope not. Obviously.
Right.